So today's video is going to be a recording of our live class. We run business analysis hackathons every Friday. So where students learn the entire requirement life cycle, they explore business analysis tools, learn processes and techniques, everything in a practical way. So if you would like to be a part of this hackathon, then you can subscribe to our business analysis blueprint program and become a silver member of our community. As soon as you become a silver member, you will have access to all our course materials and you will get a link to join our Friday classes where you can learn business analysis using domain case studies. Hi, I'm Sajna Binal. I'm the founder of Interactive Learning Solutions, the fastest growing community of business analysts here in India. So today's agenda, guys, to what we are going to do is the first 1 hour, we will focus on writing user stories. Okay, so user story writing will be one of our focus. And the next 1 hour, we'll be focusing on job search. Okay, how to do a effective job search for a business analyst role. Many of you are getting confused between what kind of jobs you should apply for and what you're not. So we're going to focus on the job search part of it. We will cover the resume building in the coming session. So nothing about the resume building we'll focus today because that itself will become a very elaborate session. So we will get into resume building in the coming sessions in the next Friday session. So the new members, we'll just go around 5 minutes and please introduce yourself.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Brijen Singh. I stay in Bangalore. I worked in HR operations role, being as associate, having covered numerous activities like data management, onboarding, payroll, well, the main stuff that I have to do.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. So currently I am on a career break. I have past experience in sales and marketing as a deputy manager in Heidelberg Cement India Limited.
Already know, but for the new members, let me tell you, I will explain the concept in the class about user stories and how it is written and everything. Then we will work on a case study. Okay. These case studies become very helpful when you are preparing for interview also. So then I will give you a business scenario, a business case study, and you will be sent to breakout rooms to complete that activity and come back to the main room. Formats of documentation exist in the IT world. Business analysts write BRD, FRD, and then we have epics and user story. So one such format we are discussing in today's session, which is user story format. And most of the projects, I'll say 90% of the IT projects nowadays are in the agile methodology. So it is very essential for BAs to know how to document requirements in the form of user stories. So user stories are nothing but requirements written in a structured way. Okay, understand that. Take notes, guys, as I'm explaining the concept, take notes so that these notes are beneficial for you when I run a quiz. Towards the end of the session, every hackathon, we run a quiz and I test your knowledge. So it comes very handy for you also. You know where you stand, and also it helps you prepare for interview sessions. So a user story, as it is mentioned here, is a tool used in agile software development to capture a description of a software feature from the end user perspective, which means end user in the sense, the person who's using that particular feature. For example, if you go to the Amazon website and you search for a product, the search feature that you see on the Amazon website is a feature which you as a user is accessing, isn't it? So each and every component of the Amazon website, like the search feature, the login feature, the registration feature, the order tracking feature, the shopping cart feature, all of that are nothing but requirements. Okay. So when we are capturing requirements as a BA, it is essential for us to write those requirements in a particular format. We just can't write it, okay, this is a search engine and user will type XYZ in the search engine and the system will throw a message. No, it has to be written in a proper structured way if your project is agile. Okay. And the format is given here. This will come very handy for you when you actually start writing user stories in your projects. Okay. User stories capture only the essential elements of a requirement. Who is this feature for? What it expects from the system? And why is it important? Okay. So a simple format of user story, it is used by 70% of practitioners. So if you see, the user stories are written in the form of as a role, that means as a user, I want to do something so that I can achieve something. Okay. Every user story, guys, remember, has a goal attached to it. And that's the why. That's the last part of the user story, why. I'll give you a couple of examples which will make this concept a little more clearer. Here there are user story examples for a shopping cart. So let's say you are working with Accenture, you are a BA with Accenture, and you are creating an e-commerce website, just like Amazon website. Accenture has a retail client, and the retail client wants to build a new website for them. Okay, so now we all know that shopping cart is a very, very important component of a e-commerce website. Without shopping cart, that doesn't make sense having a e-commerce website. Now, if you were to write user stories, which will tell your technical team what has to be included in that shopping cart, then it will look like this. As a customer, so you see in the format, the role has been replaced with the role that particular user is performing on the website. So in the website, when we all go to the website, we are customers, right? So as a customer, I want to add items to my shopping cart so that I can select items to buy online. So I want to do something. Okay, the brackets indicate the action that the user is going to perform. And so that indicates the goal that can be achieved by that action. So remember, every action we perform on an application will have a goal attached to it, why we are doing it. So look at the next user story. As a customer, I want to delete items from my shopping cart so that I can remove items I do not wish to buy. Okay, so this is the delete functionality, discovering the delete feature of the shopping cart. As a customer, I want to update quantity of a particular item added to my shopping cart so that I can correct item quantity which was entered incorrectly. User stories contain something called as acceptance criteria. Now, why is the acceptance criteria so important? Acceptance criteria is important because acceptance criteria helps the development team as well as the testing team verify whether all the conditions are satisfied. For example, if you look at the Amazon website, if you go and type a product that does not exist, if you just enter some junk characters, the search engine will search for it in the database. It doesn't know that this is not a valid product name. It will search for it in the database. It will not find anything. And it will give you a message that, sorry, we couldn't find this particular product, right? So now that is a rule that is set in the search engine. So all of those scenarios are added as acceptance criteria in a user story. Okay, so user stories are used by the development and testing team to verify that particular feature, what all conditions should be satisfied. That's included in a acceptance criteria. So one of the components of user story is acceptance criteria. Now, when we write user stories, it is so said that when you write user stories, after you write it, there is a way in which you can do a quality check of the user story. What is a quality check? Quality check is done using the INVEST acronym. Okay, let me write it here in the chat window. This is an abbreviation, guys. INVEST. So they say that once you write user stories, in order to be, if you are a beginner VA, you would like to verify whether you have written proper user stories. So in order to check the quality of your user stories, follow this method, which INVEST, each and every alphabet in INVEST stands for the following, okay? I stands for independent. That means each and every user story should be independent of each other. It should not be dependable. It should be negotiable, okay? User stories, when when a user story is estimated for it, when the technical team estimates for it, it should be, they sometimes enter into negotiation calls with the PO or the business users. It should be negotiable. Then we have verifiable. V stands for verifiable. And that means the testing team should be able to verify it, test it. Then E stands for estimate. You should be able to estimate for it. Is everyone noting that down?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So can anyone repeat what did I say so far?
Ma'am, so far you have covered till the first four alphabets of the abbreviation INVEST. The first one, I, stands for independent. Each of the user story should be independent of each other.
Independent.
Then, yeah, the N stands for negotiable. They should be negotiable, all the user stories that we are writing down. And those should be, V stands for verifiable. The user story should be verifiable by the testing team. And E stands for estimatable. So we should be able to estimate it.
Correct. And S stands for small. Your user story should always be a small chunk of work. Okay, it should, if you're writing a large user story, it becomes an epic then. So that means your user story should not have multiple features included in it. Like I said, if you are writing, I showed you just explanation about a shopping cart. Now, shopping cart, if you just finish the shopping cart feature in just one user story, then you're writing an epic. It's not a fully qualified user story. You can't write one user story and say that, okay, tell the development team that the client needs a shopping cart. No, you have to write, just like I showed you the examples, like that, you have to write multiple user stories. And there are many more you can write for a shopping cart. I just gave you a sample list of. So that's the reason user stories should be a small chunk of work which your development team can easily pick up and start developing it. And then, of course, testable. That means your testing team should be able to write testing scenarios. What happens when the user enters an incorrect product? What happens when the user enters a product name? You know, the autofill facility is there, right? So if the user enters a product name and the system detects that product name in the database, it might do an autofill and help the user. It might give options to the user to do an autofill. So all of those are testing scenarios. So the testers can create fully blown test scenarios based on the user story. So if your user story satisfies all these conditions, INVEST, then it is a good quality user story. So what we are going to do in the breakout rooms, we are going to write user stories. So although I've written here, write a user story, you can write multiple user stories, okay? So don't tie yourself down to one user story. Now this is a screen. It's a loan EMI calculator screen. I want you to think about what is the action the user is going to perform on the screen, and what is the goal this particular screen satisfies. So looking at this, you all know what this feature is. When you want to apply for a loan, you would like to check what is the EMI, what is that amount that you have to pay on a regular basis, right? So looking at this particular screen, write a bunch of user stories, how much ever you can write. We will allocate 15 minutes for this activity. And after 15 minutes, we'll come to the main room and we'll discuss, we'll check the quality of user stories the people have written. Also, people who are joining us from YouTube, our YouTube session ends here. I would like to say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for watching.